In 2016, I was bankrupt. I had $300 to my name. I was almost homeless with my 9-year-old daughter, Haley. Fast forward 5 years later to 2021, I became a multi-millionaire. As of today, recording this video in 2025, I am a multi-millionaire. It's grown. So this video today is to share with you how I did it, how I went from that rock bottom place to where I'm at now, where it seems like everything just keeps expanding. So this is to help you guys. If you're in a similar situation where you're struggling, hopefully this can give you a nugget or two so you can get ahead. And if you haven't subscribed to my channel, make sure to do that, like the video, share it with somebody that you feel like it could help them as well. So let's jump into it. To give you guys a little bit of context, I am one of 7 siblings. I have a full brother, a half sister, and 4 step siblings. So growing up, like there was a lot of a scarcity mindset. Like my parents didn't make a lot of money, broken household. So my parents divorced when I was very, very young, and my dad remarried. So we would go back and forth from my mom and my dad's house. We'd stay with my mom Friday to Friday, and then we'd go stay with our dad from Friday to Friday, back and forth, back and forth, back and forth. But both households did not make a lot of money. My dad, the most he's ever made was right before he retired a couple of years ago, and it was 80,000 bucks. So just not a lot of income. So scarcity mindset. We had my dad going around, turning lights off, shutting doors behind us. And I was getting hand-me-downs, 1 pair of shoes per year. So as you guys can see behind me, I love shoes. I couldn't get them when I was a kid. So as I became an adult and I started making some good money, I just love shoes. So I've got like 60 pairs. There's a bunch here in my office. I've got them in my closet, all that good stuff. So kind of a backstory of my upbringing is I don't come from money. I come from, again, a scarcity mindset family. So when I started to work as a young man, I was 17 and I got my first sales job working at MCI. This might date me a little bit because that was back before you had cell phones and everyone had long distance on their cell phone. You actually had long distance on your house line, and you had local toll, which was like not your local calls, but like just outside of that city, but not quite long distance. So working at MCI as a 17-year-old kid, I realized that I could actually kind of control my income by just how hard I worked and how much I studied the craft of sales. And I learned a lot with that job. I worked part-time while I was going to school. So I think 4 or 5 hours a night. And I was making like 1,700 bucks a week. We got paid weekly at MCI. So I'm making some pretty good money as a 17-year-old kid, still in school, no real bills. I had a Cricket cell phone. So the bill was like 40 bucks a month. And yeah, I was making really, really good money as a kid. And I blew it all. Like I have nothing to show for what I was making back then. I was, buying the rims for my car, putting the system in my car, tinting the windows, just, throwing money around because I thought it would always last. A lesson for you guys is money, the younger you are, if you give it the opportunity to compound, it becomes stupid because of how young you are. So if I could go back in time, I would tell my younger self, dude, don't blow money on stupid stuff. Like start putting it away and have it compound and grow. So I didn't do that. Made really good money as a kid. And then, I got my first nice car, and, I really just started like wanting things. I think we can all relate to that, is we all like nice things. I still like nice things. But back then where I was making 1,700 bucks a week, I shouldn't have been buying nice things. I should have started really looking towards the future and having that good money I was making then really start compounding and growing. I wouldn't got into the situation I was in 2016. So kind of fast forward a little bit, my 20s, I had my daughter, Haley, when I was 22. I was still a kid myself at 22 years old. Had my daughter, and from there, it was really a struggle because I was trying to find myself. At 22, I don't think you really know who you are or what you want to do with your life. I had no clue. And now I got this little baby I got to take care of. And it softened me up a lot having her, which was good, but um I didn't become a man, I think, until I was 28. And what I view a man as is, someone who puts other people in their life ahead of themselves. That's a man, in my opinion. Puts them ahead of themselves, wants to take care of those people. And at 22, I still just thought about me. Even though I had this little girl that I needed to take care of, I just thought about me. 23, 24, it was all about me. At 28, it wasn't just all about me anymore. I kind of became a man, so to speak. But in my 20s, I'm searching for myself. I went through a divorce with her mom, and I'm jumping from job to job because I'm searching for me. I'm searching for what I want to do. And I probably had, guys, no joke, 50 jobs. I could not hold a job. Always because I was looking for the next best thing. I don't like being told what to do. That's why I think I needed to become an entrepreneur because I just don't like being told what to do. So I was never really a good employee. I got fired from a million different jobs. And if I wasn't fired, I was looking like the grass is greener somewhere else. So fast forward to like 31 years old. So that's 2016. Again, I'm jumping from job to job. Um, I've made pretty good money throughout that time, but I've blown it all. I had two cars. I had a BMW 3 Series. I had a 2012 Camry. Um, so I just had a lot of bills. I had two big car payments. I had the insurance on them. I was buying nice things. I was broke. I was really broke. I had a bunch of credit card debt, and it got to a point where I didn't make good money anymore. As I was jumping from job to job, looking for the grass to be greener somewhere else, I noticed it wasn't, and I stopped making the money I used to make. And it got to a point where I legitimately had $300 to my name. I had no savings. I had no retirement accounts. I had $300 in a bank account, and I could not afford the rent at the apartment my daughter and I lived in. So I was a full-time single father. I won full custody of my daughter, Haley. She lived with me full time, and I couldn't afford the apartment we were living in. So I had to file bankruptcy, and I had to move my 9-year-old daughter and me in with a friend of mine. So I was almost homeless. If this friend of mine didn't rent the room to me, I wouldn't have had a place to live. He rented a small room to me and my daughter. I had to sell my bed. I had to sell most of my belongings just to afford the move, to afford rent to him. And it was just a couple $100 a month. That's all I was paying in rent to him. So basically, guys, I was at rock bottom. At least I thought I was at rock bottom. I'm living in a little room that I'm renting from a friend with my 9-year-old daughter. And as a kid, I thought I was going to be super successful. At 17, I'm making like more than my parents. I thought by 31, I'd be balling out of control, retired or able to retire. And I wasn't. I wasn't even close to it. I was having thoughts of real depression. I had a lot of depression at that time. And the relationship I was in with the woman I met when I was like 28, 29, that I thought was going to be the one. I put her on this pedestal, and I loved her to death. I thought she was going to be my wife, and I'd grow old with her. And when I thought I was at rock bottom, in that little one bedroom with my daughter on a mattress on the floor, I got my heart broken by that woman, like ripped out of my chest, broken in a million pieces. And up until that point in my life, I was struggling with my daughter, but I never really let her feel it. I didn't want her to feel how much I was struggling and how hard things were. But in that moment in 2016, it was October 22nd, 2016. I broke down to my 9-year-old daughter, Haley. I started bawling my eyes out. And I get emotional every time I think about it because this little girl started crying because I was crying. She thought I was Superman. And Superman is bawling his eyes out. Can't even breathe. Couldn't look her in the eye. And she's saying, "Daddy, what's wrong? What's wrong, Daddy?" And when I got enough strength to say something, I asked my little girl, I said, "Am I a good dad?" Because guys, honestly, if she would have said anything besides what she said, I was having thoughts of suicide. I was in that much pain after I got my heart broken. This little girl lifts my chin up and she says, "You are the best daddy." That's my baby. She saved my life. She made me realize that she saw me as Superman, but I was nothing close to it. She made me realize that everything that was happening in my life was my fault. I never worked on me. I never worked on me at all. I didn't read books. I didn't get around people that were successful. I didn't use my time to educate myself. I didn't do anything to make me more valuable. I never did that. So of course my life was not great because I didn't work on me. That little girl made me realize that I need to work on me. I need to be the man that she thinks I am. So what did I do? I started working on me. Guys, if you get nothing from this video, the one thing I want you to get is that you are a reflection of how much you work on yourself, period. If you work on yourself all the time, whether that's in the gym, whether that's reading books, whether that's whatever it is, if you work on yourself, you will excel, period. If you constantly are in the gym, you're going to get in better shape. If you constantly watch what you're eating, you're going to get in better shape. If you constantly get around people that are successful, you're going to be successful. So what I started doing is I started reading books. I never read a book, not plural, just one book. I never read a book until that point at 31 years old. I started reading books. Me and my daughter were sleeping in the same bed in that room at my friend's house. I started reading to her at night. Self-help books, Rich Dad, Poor Dad, 3 Feet from Gold. Those are the first two books that I read, and I would just read them out loud to her. She'd fall asleep. I'd keep reading. I started reading a ton. I started listening to motivational videos on YouTube when I'm brushing my teeth, when I'm in the shower, when I'm on my way to work. Instead of bumping in my car like I used to, I started listening to podcasts. I started working on me. Guys, October 22nd of 2016, I broke down to my 9-year-old daughter. I hit rock bottom. Financially, emotionally, spiritually broken. That was October 22nd of 2016. On November 27th, a month later, 1 month from working on me, I went on the first date with my now wife, Danielle. I became worthy of her because I worked on me. We've now been married for, gosh, going on 7 years. Time flies. We got married in 2019, March of 2019. So it's already been 6 years going on 7. Crazy. She makes me better. So here's what happened. We met 2016 at work, Quicken Loans. Rocket Mortgage is what it's called now. And she came from a background or a lifestyle growing up of saving. Her parents were super frugal. So I met her when she was 23, I was 31. She already had like $63,000 in savings. My mind was blown. I'm like, I'm 31, I got no savings. I'm literally living in my friend's house and I am paycheck to paycheck just to pay him right now. So started working on me, started doing better at work. I started saving money because, she kind of rubbed off on me in that sense of like being frugal. So I started saving money. I started getting promoted at work because I was doing better. And I was getting around all the people at work that were the high achievers. I started actually getting promoted and making a lot more money. So fast forward to 2019. I'm at the top position at the company. I'm making 6 figures a year, working 35 hours a week. I had it set for corporate America, but I still felt broke. I felt broke because job stands for just over broke. If you have a job, you pay the most amount of taxes because it's earned income, especially when you start making more money because it's your brackets creep up. So I'm paying more taxes. I'm maxing out my 401k, which I thought was smart, but now I know that's not a good place for your money to go. And I felt broke. So what I did is I took a leap. I left my job at Quicken Loans October 8th of 2019 to become a full-time real estate investor. My wife, she was making at the time about 200 at the company. So I figured, we don't have a lot of bills. She's maybe pretty frugal. I've been able to save some money. I've got like 175 grand in my 401k now. I've got some money saved in my bank account. I think I had like 30 or 40 grand saved in my bank account. And I figured, you know what? If I fall flat on my face, they'll hire me back, I'm sure. Also, her income is enough to keep us afloat. So I went out on my own and I became a full-time real estate investor. And this is the most important part. I bet on me. I bet on me that I can do it, that I believe in me because I'd been working on myself for 3 years. I'd become more valuable. And then what I did, the next thing I did is very important, guys. I started going where real estate investors were at. I started going to local meetups. I started just going to these events where these people were already investing in real estate. That's what I wanted to do. And I asked questions. I literally just was interested in other people. So I would ask them, hey, what do you do? How have you been finding deals? How does that work? Oh, tell me more about that. Open-ended questions so they start talking. And I started doing deals. I started getting deals. My first deal was a wholesale deal. I closed it January of 2020. I made 1,800 bucks. You could have thought that it was $1,000,000, how happy I was. Because I had proved to myself, I can do it. I don't have to be employed. I can go make money for me and my family, not for a company. I can be the income. Once I saw that, everything took off. So from that until March of that year, 3 months, I did 10 real estate transactions, a few wholesale deals. I had some flips going on and some BRRRRs going on. Buy, renovate, rent, refinance, repeat. My last name's Burr. So I figured, why don't I coin that as I am Mr. Burr? That's who I am. So I figured, how about I be the guy that does that method and just coin it. I made a spoof music video and you guys can check it out on my YouTube. It's the first video on here. You'll have to scroll in the archives, but it's just a silly video of me rapping and I started getting more deals. But then here's what happened. COVID hit in 2020 and my my deal flow went away because I was getting deals from going to meetups, going where were at. COVID, no one was going to any meetups. So I had to start learning again. I had to start working on me again. I heard a podcast about becoming the bank in 2020 during COVID. And I went down the rabbit hole. I started researching infinite banking. I started reading all the books, watching all the YouTube videos, again, educating myself, spending time becoming more valuable. And as I did it, I learned that I could use this concept with my real estate. So I could be the bank, but also be the investor and make money in two places at the same time. So I figured if everyone was asking me how to do the concept, why don't I just be the guy that sets up the policies? So I became licensed in 2021, March of 2021. Since then, I've set up over 4,000 policies for infinite banking. So guys, the point of the matter is I became more valuable. I had this value by learning everything I learned, and I was sharing it with other people. And I believe the more valuable you become, if you share that value, if you find a way to share that value with a lot of people, you become very successful. There's no way around it. Money follows value. The more value you have and the more you can share it with more people, the more money you're going to make, period. So as I became more valuable, and at work, when I was working in at Quicken Loans, I became more valuable, but I wasn't sharing it with a bunch of people. I was just working my 9 to 5, just working and making more money, but I wasn't super valuable in sharing it with a bunch of people. When I became more valuable as a real estate investor and someone who learned infinite banking and then got on social media let me cast a huge net where I could help a ton of people. And as of right now, I've got 1.1 million followers across all platforms. I can help a lot of people by sharing my knowledge, sharing my value on these platforms, which then I make a lot of money. So, guys, I make 7 figures a year. My net worth is just over 6 million. So, I don't tell you guys that to brag. I tell you that because there's a lesson there. From 2016 to 2019, 3 years, I became successful by most people's standards. I went from dead broke financially, emotionally, spiritually to successful by most people's standards. Had 175 grand in my 401k, making 6 figures a year. I was successful. Had some money saved in the bank, but I was still broke. I was just over broke. Um, then from 2019 to like 2021, 2022, same amount of time, 3 years, I went from successful. I had, 175 grand in my 401k. With my savings, I had about 200,000 or so. I went from that, making 6 figures, 150, 200 grand at most, to then multi-millionaire, making 7 figures a year. Same amount of time. I worked on myself both times. The difference is in 2020, when I started working on myself, I shared it. I shared it. When I became more valuable, I shared that value. And I was scared, guys. I was so scared to get on camera and make videos. You guys go in the archives of my TikTok, they are cringeworthy. Now this is what I do. Me working now is making videos for you guys. I'm so comfortable in front of a camera because I'm so comfortable sharing. I'm so comfortable sharing my value. And that's what you have to learn. You have to learn first, you've got two things that you can do with your time. You can spend your time educating yourself, or you can spend your time entertaining yourself. That's it. How you entertain yourself during that time could be completely different. You could watch sports, you could scroll on social media, you could play board games. You're entertaining yourself. That's what you're doing with your time. Or you can educate yourself. How you educate yourself Tons of different ways to do that. This is educating yourself, watching this YouTube. You can read books. You can go to seminars. You can go to meetups. You can, ask really successful people questions like I was telling you I was doing before. There's so many ways to educate yourself. You need to first spend your time, the majority of it, educating yourself. Become more valuable by the things that you learn. And then when you learn something that really helps you, chances are it'll help a lot of other people. So all you got to do is simply share it. Share it. You are most qualified to help the person that you used to be. So the people that really resonate with me are probably people that are in the situation I used to be in and can kind of relate to me. Same thing with you. When you become more valuable and share your story and share, what's working for you, there's a certain amount of people that are going to resonate with you. There's a lot of people that aren't, but there are billions and billions of people on earth. If you do not share your value, it's selfish. It is selfish because you can help a ton of people. I have made a lot of money. I've got a lot of assets now. I have passive income. I can tell you this though, the most valuable thing about what I've done is that I've been able to help a lot of people. It makes me feel really, really good. Think about this, when you're Christmas morning, what feels better? Opening a gift for yourself or watching someone you love open a gift and see them light up? We naturally like helping people and seeing people do well, seeing people happy. If you're a good person, I guess, but if you're not, you might not like that. But the fact of the matter is, most people enjoy helping others. So become more valuable, work on yourself, spend your time doing that. And then once you've become more valuable, share that value with other people. The more you do that, the more people you can share that value to, money will start to chase you. Success will chase you. You don't have to chase money. You just have to chase value. Become more valuable and find a way to share that value with a lot of people. So I hope you guys got a ton of value from this. For everyone that stuck around, I appreciate you so much. I would appreciate it if you haven't liked the video already, do that. It really helps the algorithm. What I've learned is the more vulnerable I get, which I got very vulnerable in this video, the more successful I've become. More people relate to me if I'm vulnerable. So that's another tip for you guys is don't be afraid to be vulnerable. Put yourself out there. More people will relate to you. And that's what you want. You don't want to be someone who no one can relate to. So yeah, I hope you guys loved this video. If you liked this one, you're probably gonna love that one. Check that one out next. And until next time, I love you guys. Peace.